Hello everybody, how you doing? Hope you're doing well. And today we're going to talk about Bitcoin dominance because Benjamin Cowen is talking about Bitcoin dominance. He's very big on Bitcoin dominance. As you can see, he made a video 1.5 hours long about Bitcoin. I mean, how much can you talk about Bitcoin dominance? How much is there to talk about? So I thought, a little bit about that. Some of the guys in the chat, our chat, talked about also about Bitcoin dominance. So I looked at a little bit at the chart, a little bit more in depth. And, I got some kind of views and I thought, maybe we should make a 1.5 hour long video about Bitcoin dominance. Maybe not. Now, Bitcoin dominance is big on, Benjamin Cowen is big on Bitcoin dominance and he thinks it might actually go higher to 0.618 level on the Fibonacci. That's around 60%. Maybe first started at 56% dominance towards upside, and I don't think that might be the case. I mean, it might go a little bit higher, but give or take everything that we know about charts, it does not, it's already topping out. It's pretty much over. Considering other indications of where Bitcoin is going right now, we don't believe it has that much upside left, and I'm gonna explain to you why. Now, first thing first, Benjamin Cowen, really great guy, like the guy. Unfortunately, he's wrong about a lot of things. I think Bitcoin dominance is one. The second thing that he was really wrong about was altcoin reckoning. If you remember back in September, October, he was talking about how, altcoins are gonna get wrecked. Well, we were saying that, they're already at the bottom. So how much more can they actually get wrecked? And then they had nice pull towards the upside. And the third thing he might or might be not be wrong about is Ethereum Bitcoin chart. And we can also mention that at the end of the video. Now, Bitcoin dominance, how it's playing out, how high can it actually go, what's actually happening. Now, again, when it comes to Benjamin Cowen, he is not actually a technical analyst. If you look at his chart and how he's drawing the lines and stuff like that, he gets, everybody likes to watch the charts, but he is not the guy that you should be watching, for any kind of analysis on the charts. He's really good with the mathematical models. He's really good at analyzing the great market picture about what, the government is doing with their money, how the market, world markets are moving, how that might affect the Bitcoin price. There is definitely a reason to watch Benjamin Cowen, but unfortunately, watching Benjamin Cowen to, read the charts, that's not the way to go. Now, he spent his life analyzing different kind of metrics, mathematical models on different stuffs, and that can be applied, of course, to crypto and marketers as well. But we've spent our life looking at the charts and drawing nice lines. That's it. We try to draw nice lines on the chart, and for some reason that works out very well for us so far. That said, how is actually Bitcoin dominance doing right now? Over here, 54%. So if you remember back in the day, I mean, I don't think you remember, but if it's your first time here, maybe you don't remember, but if you've been here for a while, you do know that the first thing we looked at before is the moving averages. We're just gonna use the 200 moving, a simple moving average over here, and what we're gonna see is that previously in 2019 up here, 2020 it pulled back down, but what we can see up here, these bottoms down here, these are the bull market top on Bitcoin. So in 2017 when Bitcoin was 20k, the dominance goes down, right? 2021 when Bitcoin goes up to 60k to 69k, it goes down, right? But in the bear markets it tops out. Now it did top out on the 200 moving average previously. So our theory was when this started moving towards upside, it's gonna hit around the 200 moving average, zigzag above that, maybe even do something like this up here, break towards upside, and that's pretty much it, right? And we see right now that that might actually be the case. We see right now that we are zigzagging above the 200 moving average up here, and even though that this might actually go a little bit more higher up here, 60% up here where Benjamin Cowen says it can happen. Not gonna say it's not gonna happen, it can happen, and he will might be right in that case. I pretty much believe that right over here somewhere, maybe a little bit higher up here, maybe around 55%, something like that, maybe a little bit higher than that, give or take. I mean, this is so small. This is so small. Like between 60% up here and where it's right now. I mean, this blue box over here, it's so small. So, you know, you're pretty much up there already, right? There is not much room left to go. It's pretty much over, and I'm gonna make a very good case for why it's over, might be over already right now. But you know, it's the 200 moving average. This is what we've been looking at. I mean, it just zigzagging above the 200 moving average, and eventually it will go towards the downside up here. Before we continue, I'm going to show you a chart. I just asked ChatGPT. Imagine that. I asked ChatGPT, can you make a mathematical chart of something that is halving periodically? So anything that's halving periodically has some kind of exponential type of chart that is halving. So this is a halving model of something that's halving. Here's a mathematical chart showing how the value halves periodically over time. It is, in this example, the value is set to 100 and it halves every 2 time units over a total period of 20 time units. You can see the value decreasing exponentially with a halving event occurring at each interval marked at the x-axis. So this is halving, or mathematical model of the halving. If you do know, or if you do follow certain people on crypto Twitter or X or anywhere else, oftentimes they talk about how Bitcoin chart that looks like a exponential curve is gonna do a S-curve towards upside eventually. So this S-curve up here, I have zero belief that it's gonna happen, because the model of the halving and the model of Bitcoin is actually a halving model that goes something like this up here. It does not do this last part up here towards upside, especially on an exponential part. On an exponential model, doing this move towards upside, meaning explosion in the price below, above, you know, 10 million, 100 million and stuff like that. I mean, it's just gonna be insane. Let me show you the chart over here. This is the chart of Bitcoin, and let's go just to exponential model over here. So we're gonna go to logarithmic chart, and as I can see up here, the halving goes something like this, as you just saw from the ChatGPT, for a while the price of Bitcoin goes something like this, or you know, it curves towards upside. Now, imagining that this is for some reason is gonna, you know, go exponentially again towards upside, it's just insane, because these numbers go into extreme levels. I mean, even small move towards upside is gonna bring you up to, you know, something like, you know, I don't know how much is this, like 50 million or something like that. So this is not gonna happen. So the model is pretty much, you know, mathematical model. It halves all the time and it just curves towards the upside. That's also one of the reasons that we don't believe that, you know, Bitcoin is going to go to, you know, 200k or something like that, because it will break the chart. It will basically break the chart. So just for a quick, you know, mentioning up here, we do believe that it's going to be around 90k, give or take, maybe below 100k or something like that. Maybe it might go above 100k, I don't know, but you know, we believe that around 90k the top is going to be in for this rally. That said, the chart is curving this way, and the reason I'm mentioning that is important to know, because you will see right now on some indicators that Bitcoin dominance is doing, in fact, exactly what it should do in this kind of model. So let's go back to the Bitcoin dominance over here, and we're gonna stop looking at the moving averages, and we're gonna pop some indicators up here on the chart. And these are the two most important indicators when it comes to chart. Let's go to the monthly time frame up here, because it's easy to see. So this down here is what's called MACD indicator, and this over here is what we call a rubber band indicator, also known as RSI indicator. And both of these are having the chart of a, the chart is having the movement of a price that's in decline. And it's very, very normal. So I'm gonna explain to you a couple of reasons why this chart is actually a very, very bad chart. Assuming this was some kind of price of some kind of coin, this chart over here is actually a terrible chart. It's a terrible chart, and let's look a little bit about that. Again, we are a TA fans club. We are TA fans. We like technical analysis. That's the only thing we do on this channel. We just look at the charts. We just draw the lines. We just analyze how the price looks. But it is the fact, you know, that you can draw lines on any chart. You can look at a chart of how many babies are being born in certain country over time, and you can still draw charts. You can see when the trend breaks. You can see when the trend breaks towards upside. You can see the weakness and strength in the, you know, in baby making. You can always draw lines on any kind of chart that human psychology has some kind of, you know, effect on. Now, you might not believe that, you know, babies have some kind of effect, you know, human psychology doesn't have some kind of effect on baby making, but it does in fact, because, you know, people do get together. There is some kind of, you know, agreement between whether they should make a baby or not, you know, and then babies are being made. And when you extrapolate this to, you know, entire world, then you can actually draw, or even a country or just a big database, you can actually draw very, very nice lines. And you can do this on anything, you know, how many houses are being built, you know, this and that. You can always draw charts. You can always see where the price is gaining momentum, losing momentum, breaking the trend, gaining the trend, and so forth, so forth. So let's look at the chart and analyze this, what is actually happening up here. So as you can see up here in the very start of the move of Bitcoin up here, since this goes actually back only back to 2014, Bitcoin had a very high dominance of 90%. Now this is also important because in the start there were not a lot of coins. It was Bitcoin and that's it. We did, you know, Ethereum, just because Ethereum came a little bit after that, but you know, it still wasn't big. You know, dApps was starting to arrive. You know, they were making use of smart contracts and stuff like that, right? It was very interesting time. Unfortunately, you know, it was very, very early in the start of building a blockchain and, you know, the ecosystem of crypto. And of course, Bitcoin had the most dominance. It's only in the very, very first up here in 2017 when Bitcoin went to 20K that, you know, we saw rise in dApps, smart contracts, and the dominance did fall all the way down to 40%. Why? Because there is definitely in crypto space room for more than just Bitcoin. Even though Bitcoin is the very first, even though Bitcoin is the blockchain that's you know, store of value, there is a lot more to crypto space and contracts than just, you know, using it as some kind of gold of you know, store of value. So this fell down to 40%. We already saw over here that there is a huge amount of space left for other coins. So during the bear market up here towards upside, we didn't see Bitcoin going back to 90% up here towards upside. We saw it go back to 70% up here. When it came up to 70%, it was pretty evident that Bitcoin is never gonna again go up to 90% again, because they are taking bigger and bigger pie of the Bitcoin dominance. They are coming with the new dApps, they're coming with new coins, are coming with new ways to, you know, use this technology in other parts. And if you have not been living under a rock, you will have noticed that both, you know, ETFs are, you know, here, and right now they are talking, the big thing that they are talking about, at least that I'm noticing, is the tokenization of assets. And this is what BlackRock is talking about, the CEO of BlackRock, tokenization of assets. And I think this is going to be a huge thing. And it is only natural to believe that dominance will continue going towards the downside over time. Because even though Bitcoin was the first, it's no longer the main squeeze, and there will be other blockchains that are doing more than just being a store of value, and they will be gaining popularity, they will be gaining market share of the entire crypto space, and so forth, so forth. So right now we see that over here we're coming down to 50k levels, but we do not believe that we are going to go all the way up to 70k levels or anything like that. Not only that, we are coming very, very close to this very, very top up here right now, where we are at 50%. But what we can extrapolate from this further on is that this chart is going to continue going towards downside, over here towards downside. It will do the same thing that, you know, halvening process is doing over here, and it will, you know, destroy the market dominance. Eventually, I think Bitcoin will stabilize towards certain levels over here towards downside, whether that's 40% or 20%. It will keep on losing dominance over time, and the reason for that is very, very simple, because you cannot do actually anything more with Bitcoin. We just saw the rise in BRC20 tokens when they started inscripting stuff on Bitcoin, and that gave additional use for Bitcoin, and that actually helped Bitcoin go a little bit more in both value and usability. Unfortunately, Bitcoin is never gonna change, at least not from my understanding. It will always be a store of value. It will always be there. It will be the big kahuna. It will be the one that pushes everything, towards upside and keeping us very strong and around. It is the core coin of entire crypto space, and it's never going away. Believe that. Unfortunately, the dominance of it will continue going down as more and more coins find more use cases for other stuff in the world. So it is only natural for this to go towards downside. We also see this on the RSI down here. You will any kind of chart that loses value over time, a bad chart, will keep below certain levels up here, oftentimes below 50%. So this is the rubber band indicator. This is what we call rubber band indicator. Let me just draw nice. Let me draw, where is the 50% over here, give or take. This is the 50% mark on this rubber band indicator, the RSI. And oftentimes when the chart is bleeding towards downside for a very long time, what it does, it goes below certain levels on the RSI. Yes, we did have some kind of overextensions up here, but you'll see that right now the RSI is coming to the same kind of tops up here as well on the top side. But this is the chart of our coin or of any kind of asset that it is in decline. You will see this in the bear market when stuff is just bleeding forever towards downside. It fails to get back above this 50% line, because this 50% line indicates that it is still in decline, and right now it is still in decline. Even though we had some kind of overshoots up here towards the top, you will also see these patterns over here that they are also very, very bearish patterns. But we right now see immediately that on the RSI there is right now a definite decline in dominance on Bitcoin. And over here right now what's actually doing is making this a very nice pattern. It's actually very, very bearish, and we think it's gonna go very, very towards downside. Now don't get me wrong, we are very much bullish on Bitcoin dominance back when it was bottoming down here at the bottom, but as soon as it started going towards upside, like we said in the start, we looked at the very basic analysis on Bitcoin dominance is a 200 moving average, zigzag above that and then towards downside. Right now we are looking a little bit more in depth on that. So over here, it is obviously showing that it is hitting the resistance levels up here at 50-60%, and it should go towards the downside. Because as you're gonna understand, a chart that goes towards the upside, doesn't matter how it goes towards the upside, a chart that goes like this towards the upside, it will have the RSI that is bouncing on the 50 moving average towards the upside. You don't have to understand the mechanic of that, but a chart that goes towards the upside, it is bouncing above 50 moving average. The chart that goes towards the downside, it is bouncing below the 50 moving average. And the chart is just going kind of sideways over here or consolidating. It is zigzagging between the 60 and the 30 levels up here towards the top. So the indicator down here, this rubber band indicator, is telling us right now the thing that we wait about Bitcoin dominance is that it is losing value over time, and it's going to continue losing value over time. So over here it was 70%, over here it was 70%, over here it's around 50-60%, and after that might be even 40 or 30%. Not only that, we might actually see Bitcoin dominance go below 40% here in the next bear market. And the reason for that is very, very simple, like we just explained, is that there is more use cases in crypto besides holding value. We see rising DeFi, NFTs, metaverse, gaming, this and that. And right now the very big thing, I think that the thing is gonna push the crypto market cap, the total crypto market cap above trillions and trillions of dollars, is the tokenization of assets. If you've been living under a rock, that is the big thing that's coming. Tokenization of assets. It's already here. They can already do it, but it's just not mainstream just yet. So the dominance will continue going down, and we see that on the RSI. RSI is definitely telling us that. The other big indicator is the MACD indicator. This is also a very important indicator. It shows us couple of things. It shows us momentum on the chart. Momentum is very important when you want to see weakness or the strength in the price. So when price is going towards upside, we often look for some kind of weakness in the price. If you have a big move towards upside, you want to see whether the price is weakening. You don't actually know whether it's going to stop or not, but there are already indications of the price weakening, meaning price is losing value, momentum, it's losing you know, speed, it's kind of doing choppy kind of stuff, it kind of cannot push it in more. Those are kind of you know, losses in value, right? And MACD is a very good for that. It can tell you something about whether the price is strengthening, whether the price is, you know, gaining momentum or losing momentum. And this is, or MACD is one of these things. It's called momentum. MACD, what? Moving average, convergence, divergence, but it is momentum indicator. It is momentum indicator. A lot of people do not know how to analyze this, so I'm gonna show you a little bit. What you're gonna see here on this indicator over here is that we got what is called a zero line, a midline. Now the midline is very, very important because these lines over here, those are the moving averages lines. There is a signal line and a moving average line, and these, you know, either expand away from each other where we see the increase in momentum, or they go towards each other. So the blue line can either go towards the signal line, that's convergence, they're converging towards each other, or they can you know, it can go away from the signal line that is actually diverging. So that means that diverging means that the trend is increasing, and converging means that trend is losing momentum or decreasing. What we see over here right now, you'll see also on the momentum chart up here, the blue lines are actually showing the increase in momentum towards the upside over here, and over here it's showing the decrease in momentum. It's very, very important because the price is still going towards the upside while we see a decrease in momentum towards the downside. That's telling us already right now that the price is losing momentum, and you'll see when we start drawing very nice lines that the price is in fact losing momentum. And you will see that by drawing the channels. We have not come to the channels just yet, but I just want to go through this really quickly, and then I'm gonna show you the part of the channels. The other thing you're gonna notice is that, you know, since Bitcoin is gonna lose value on dominance forever, but it's gonna be like the halving curve, it's gonna lose value, but it's gonna go lose less and less value over time. It's still gonna keep on losing value. This chart up here should not again continue going towards upside over here, and the reason for that is if it continues going towards upside, it means it starts gaining value. It starts gaining value, it starts increasing in the momentum towards the upside up here, and it's really, really hard to do that because we just showed that, you know, doing some kind of exponential move towards upside is insanely hard. Bitcoin dominance is gonna lose value forever, and there is no reason for the zero line up here to break towards the upside, because on movement towards upside is where you have these big moves towards upside, and this chart is not a chart of any kind of asset that's gonna, you know, increase the value over time. It's just gonna keep on decreasing forever, and that's why this chart up here is showing us exactly that. It doesn't lose that much, because over here it lost like a whole bunch of value. Over here it lost less value. Next time it's gonna lose less and less and less, but it's gonna keep on doing this part over here forever, right? So it's not gonna go above the zero line. Even though we have a break above the zero line over here and over here, it's pretty much over, and we can see that by loss of momentum. What is it up here? Let me show you up here. You'll see up here, as soon as we came to the dominance up here, this momentum went down, the price went down, even exploded up here a little bit up here, tried to go up here and went down. This pattern over here is very, very important. It lost momentum. Over here we see the same kind of lost momentum up here, but over here is even worse, because this chart, this part of the chart was actually, this part of the chart was actually going towards downside, and momentum went down, which is actually very, very normal. On this chart up here, this is what we call not normal. It's still climbing towards the upside while momentum is going down. It shows us, you know, loss in momentum, and loss in momentum is not a good thing when you're going towards upside. Going sideways with a loss of momentum is actually very good, especially if you're going very, very much sideways up here, because this means consolidation. But going towards upside while you're losing momentum is never a good thing. So we can see right now also on the MACD chart that the momentum is being lost, but you know, everything is playing out as it should play in a chart that's gonna bleed down forever. So if you look at, for example, Chinese Evergrande chart, or any kind of chart that is losing value over time forever, this is kind of chart you get. You get the RSI below the 50 levels, you get MACD that's doing this kind of thing over here, and it's pretty much getting rejected by the big moving averages towards downside. It just kind of bleeds and bleeds and bleeds. This is a bleeding chart, so we do understand right now there is no reason for coming up to 70%. Whether that's going to be 60% or 50%, that depends to be seen. So right now that we understand that, you know, right now we are coming to some kind of top, right now we have to analyze whether this top over here is right now over here, or it's gonna a little bit higher or not. Again, we are a TI fans club. We care about lines. We care about hitting the line on the dollar. We care about figuring out when there is exact top, exact bottom, and everything else. We knew where the exact bottom was. We knew we're gonna know where the exact top is. And right now we just have to figure out on the chart, Bitcoin chart, where the exact top is. So, but we don't use Fibonacci, guys. We don't use Fibonacci. For that, in another video. So, and before we go towards the line, let me just show you two patterns up here that shows weakness in the price. Okay, so we're gonna use RSI up here, and there are two very characteristic patterns that are playing out. So previously there was this pattern, and right now there is this other pattern. On RSI they look like this over here. You can see this big bulge up here and this move towards the upside, and over here you will see this chopping sideways where it actually breaks the trend and chops towards the downside. In technical analysis, these two patterns are very, very common. So this first pattern goes something like this. The price will chop towards the upside, create a curve. Once it creates a curve, it will explode above the previous high and pull sharply towards the upside. That's what we see here. It goes towards the upside, pulls back down, sharply above these highs up here, maybe a little bit, you know, give or take up here, maybe on the dollar a little bit, but you know, it explodes towards the top and then pulls sharply towards the downside. If you invert this is an inverse cup and handle pattern that goes something like this, right? Inverse cup and handle pattern, but you can call it something else. But this is a very, very common chart. It's a very bearish chart. And every time you have some kind of curvature on the price and you see big explosion towards the upside, you gotta understand that there might be indications that this is gonna pull sharply towards the downside. It's a very, very bearish pattern. So we saw that before. We saw a very, very bearish pattern being created, and this pulled sharply towards the downside. So it went something like, you know, 74% all the way back down to 40% dominance towards the downside. Now, what's happening up here, maybe you cannot actually notice it on the chart, but you can actually notice very well on the RSI chart. And you know, you can, like we said, you can draw lines on any kind of chart. So the line goes something like this up here towards the upside, and you can see up here at the top it is already starting doing this zigzag pattern. This is called a distribution process or a topping out pattern, you know, whatever. It is both of these things. So the price goes towards the upside sharply and then starts doing this up here. The first move up here breaks the trend. The first moves break the trend. So there is a trend over here that goes something like this over here. The first moves break this trend. The second move retests that trend line as a resistance, and the third move oftentimes fails to get back at the resistance level again over here, oftentimes. And what it does over here, it tries to go up, it fails that, and does this curvature, very nice curvature. So this is a secondary channel, secondary support line over here. And once it starts doing this zigzag pattern up here, and as soon as it breaks this line towards the downside, it's pretty much over, because this is a break in the trend up here and it fails. And the reason this is important is because you will see in a bullish scenarios, and we always say that when you have a trend line and you have a price that's trending towards the upside, you can also see the breakdown, you can see the retest, and you can see pull down. You can see this move towards the upside up here, and it is the same chart. Unfortunately, for a lot of people that do not understand how to analyze the charts and understand the technicals of the market, this price can actually get back above the trend line, continue up here and explode towards the upside. This is called what we call the bullish box. It gets into the box, it holds the box, it gets out, back in the channel and continues towards the upside. This happens a lot on the chart right now. If you haven't noticed, we are in the bull market, and in the bull market you will see a lot of these charts. And the reason this is important, and the reason I'm telling you, is not only because of the dominance, is because a lot of people become super bearish when you break the trend. You retest that and they go back down to the support levels and they think, you know, for whatever reason this needs to break down because, you know, we had a retest. We are not in the bear market. In the bull market, the box actually holds, the support holds, and it just continues going towards the upside up here. But it is very evident right now on dominance chart that we are having right now topping out pattern up here. Topping out pattern up here, and right now this move up here is the last move on this part up here that's gonna break towards downside. And as soon as the trend on the RSI and everything else over here is broken towards downside, because like we just showed, we have the trend line that we have been climbing very nicely towards the upside. We broke the trend over here. We are still doing this zigzag pattern, but the momentum is already lost. We can already see that if you watch Bitcoin chart. We analyze Bitcoin chart every day. We can already see that the momentum is lost. Yes, we do understand that Bitcoin is gonna go, you know, right now to 60k, and after that it's gonna go to 90k, and it's gonna go super high. But just because Bitcoin dominance is going towards upside does not mean that you know, altcoins are not doing well. The market as the whole, because dominance is measured against Bitcoin versus everything else, and everything else as a whole goes up as well, but just not as much as Bitcoin does. Now there will be coins, and there are coins, and there is always coins that are outperforming Bitcoin while the dominance is going towards the upside. Meme coins and other coins and stuff like that, you know, they are not outperforming Bitcoin, but you know, the dominance can go towards the upside, and you know, big good altcoins can outperform Bitcoin. But this is already pretty much game over, you know, and it was breakover ever since, you know, July 2023. So even if it goes towards the upside, it is pretty much over. It is pretty much over. And right now we are coming to this very, very last part right now, where we are having this move towards upside on Bitcoin dominance. And as soon as this stops out and this, you know, zigzag pattern up here plays out and breaks towards downside, it's pretty much over. It's not gonna be over on the breakdown. It's gonna be over once it stops out. So where is the top? And right now we come into this last part of video where we draw very nice lines on the chart and show you that we are already almost there. So there are a couple of channels up here that we can actually draw. One of these channels goes something like this over here. It could be actually drawn, or you know, for sake of niceness over here as well. But what you're gonna see here is that the trend already broke towards downside, right? So let's assume this is the trend. It is very, very nice lines. We try to get, you know, we went, sorry about that. We went out of the trend over here. And trends are very, very important. I won't go into that because this video will be 1.5 hours long, like Benjamin Cowen's. But we already broke the trend. We are trying to get back in the trend, failed that, and right now we are again trying to get back in the trend over here. Yes, we can try to get in the trend up here, but we are already losing momentum. You can see it by the trend. You can see how this line tops up here towards upside, and you can see how we are trying to get back to the same top here again. And we are failing every single time. That means that price is already losing the momentum. It's already losing the strength. The strength is already gone out of the market. So the only thing we have to figure out is how high we can actually go. So let's put my other chart that I've been having for a very, very long time, and that's this one over here. And I think this is a little bit nicer because, you know, for whatever reason. And what we're gonna see here is that we went out of the channel over here. We tried to get back inside the channel. We tried for a second time, third time, and right now we are doing this fourth time up here, and we are failing that as well. So can we go all the way up here towards top? I mean, technically we can, and that's gonna be, you know, 56-60%, but you know, going all the way up to 60%, that means getting back in the channel. There is no way we're getting to 60%. I can tell you that right now. There is no way. I might be wrong. I'm not like other people, you know. When I say something, I might be wrong. I might not be wrong. But if I'm wrong, I'm gonna come out. I'm wrong, because this is not exact science. It's art. It's art. It's TI art, right? But we try to be on the side of the probability, and right now the side of probability tells us it's very, very hard for the price to get back to 60% up here. It needs to get in here. It needs to go all the way up here to, you know, 50-60%, all the way up there. It's very, very hard for Bitcoin to do that right now, at least when we look at a chart. So if this is a channel, we are topping out the channel. But like we showed just right now on the RSI, like we showed just right now on the RSI on the monthly time frame, this is doing the zigzag pattern, and there is a channel that goes something like this, and you'll see right now that same channel over here on a weekly time frame. So let's remove this. So right now there is the trend over here that goes something like this, something like this, or something like this. It really doesn't matter. But there is right now a new channel, and channels are very, very important, that goes something like this. And what you're gonna see up here is that right now that we are, you know, been going towards the upside up here. We are breaking that, going up here towards upside. We are doing this triple top up here, again trying to break this towards upside. Again, the top of this channel is around 56%, but even that seems unlikely. And the reason that seems unlikely, let me just adjust this line, because it doesn't go actually all the way down here. It goes over here to this week, something like this. Even though this right now top of the channel up here is at 56%, it should not get to 56%. And the reason for that is because the price is actually losing momentum. When stuff is losing momentum, you don't get to hit a resistance level. Oftentimes there will be a resistance level and you will see price hitting that resistance level, but at one point it starts hitting that resistance level. That is loss of momentum, that's loss of bullishness, and the price fails to get back to these levels. That actually means that something is wrong with price, and it actually might break down. What we're seeing up here, we should not under any circumstance hit any kind of 56k levels. We might stop here at 54k levels, because this is the midline of the channel. This is the midline of the channel, and I'm gonna say right now that we are pretty much at the tops right now. Not only that, if this continues a little bit towards upside up here, it might pull very, very sharply and fast towards downside. So as you see so far, Bitcoin dominance is in an ever losing position. It's gonna continue going down over time, at least from my understanding of the dominance. The crypto as the whole is just gonna keep on increasing value, and they're gonna keep increasing value in very good coins. So you know, there is a lot of money to be made, even though Bitcoin doesn't go that high. I know it might be some bearish a little bit when you hear that Bitcoin is gonna go to 90k, but you know, altcoins are not gonna go to 90k, they're gonna go a lot higher percentage wise, right? But the momentum is already lost, the topping is already happened, the trend already broke. Bitcoin dominance is already finished, and for everybody that think that Bitcoin is just gonna continue towards the upside with Bitcoin dominance, I don't think so. Now, that does not mean that, you know, if you are holding Bitcoin that you are not gonna perform well, because right now Bitcoin is going to 60k. And during this move to 60k, I might be wrong, and this might hit, you know, 56, it might hit even 60. I do not believe this gonna happen. But Bitcoin going to 60k, it's gonna be nice, but I believe that altcoins are also gonna have a nice, exceptionally nice move towards the upside, and they're gonna eat up all of the Bitcoin dominance, whatever that is left, and the price actually won't move. We also follow a lot of altcoin charts and how altcoins are doing, and I'm expecting a big move rally on altcoins very, very soon. So considering that, I do not believe under any circumstance that Bitcoin dominance is going to continue a lot higher. I like Benjamin Cowen. He is a very smart guy, does a lot of nice mathematics, has a lot of very nice charts. Unfortunately, he's not the guy to look for when it comes to, you know, analyzing the charts, you know, the lines on the charts. We analyze the charts, he analyzes the numbers. That's how it should be. And the last thing, like I said, we can actually look at the, you know, the Ethereum Bitcoin price, because this is also one of his big things that he talks about. As you can see here, it talks about how Bitcoin is outperforming altcoins, and we're gonna notice here right now what he is looking at is this 30% drops below these yellow lines up here. 30% drop, and he is also expecting this 30% drop down here. I'm not, again, not gonna say that's gonna be the case or not. Not gonna say that's gonna be the case or not, but the way we are analyzing the chart is we are having this falling wedge. I'm just gonna do this very, very quickly and say my, you know, my things on that. We are doing the we are looking at falling wedge up here on the Ethereum Bitcoin chart. What we saw over here is falling wedge. Falling wedges often break towards downside, but this over here was capitulation on the falling wedge. This is what we call the box. Once we get a box up here, this was actually a failure of Ethereum trying to break towards upside on the on the Ethereum Bitcoin chart, and right now it's falling back towards downside again. So it's actually terrible move to be made. So he will be right in this case if it goes back below 0.05, and then we might see even a bigger drop up here on Ethereum dominance. And this can actually happen because this is not Bitcoin dominance, this is just Ethereum versus Bitcoin, right? So when Bitcoin pumps, it just might be the case that Bitcoin pumps 10% and you know, Ethereum pumps 5%. So even though Ethereum pumps, you might see this move towards downside right here again, but eventually once it breaks this towards downside over here, it will go towards the upside. I also think it's very bearish that it's actually breaking the support level down here on the downside, coming back in the box, because this is not actually supposed to happen. We were actually believing this is gonna go into the box over here on the downside. This is the box. Once in the box over here, you get back inside this falling wedge. This falling wedge up here retests this level and breaks towards the upside. That's why this box is very important. Failure to do this up here, which actually did fail, and then, you know, coming back down to the, you can see up here how nicely it came down to the bottom of the support level on this falling wedge. Failure to break this towards upside, and then retesting this without actually holding this towards upside is also a failure. Breaking towards downside is a big failure, so I definitely see a move towards downside. So how much more can it actually go towards downside if this is the case for Ethereum? It is the channel, and you just do something like this over here. This is not correct line up here. It goes something like this up here, give or take over here. And we might see this move all the way down to the bottom of the channel, or somewhere over here towards downside. So something like 0.44 or something like that. This is like 7, 8, 9, 10% towards downside, but Benjamin Cowen was talking about 30% towards downside. I gotta tell you right now, I don't see the 30% happening. I don't see the 30% happening. At most down, like something like 10% or something like that. So everybody has their own way analyzing stuff. Bitcoin dominance topping out, altcoins getting wrecked, not so much. I like Benjamin Cowen. Unfortunately, I think he is wrong about 60% Bitcoin dominance. I don't think he's wrong. I mean, it is an idea and his, you know, Fibonacci levels. But we have our way of analyzing the chart, and the Bitcoin dominance is topping out. Ethereum might go a little bit more towards downside, but what are you gonna say? It's all a sucker's move, you know. These last parts, these ending parts, those are sucker's move, right? Bitcoin right now going, you know, from 49k to 60k is a sucker's move, right? I mean, these are the last parts of the move right now before the change, right? So even if Ethereum goes a little bit more towards downside, even though if Bitcoin dominance goes a little bit more towards the upside, we all know deep in our hearts, every single one of our bag, in our altcoin bag portfolio, with memes and shitcoins and all of that, is gonna pump to the moon very soon. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for watching. Subscribe to the channel if you like this. Hit the like button on the way out, and you know, we'll do live very soon. Bye bye. Where's my outro? I have an outro. Look at the links down below. Bye bye. 42 minutes. We did better than Benjamin Cowen.